Hello, everybody, and welcome to the KGUN 9 streaming sports talk show, The Huddle. I'm Pat Parris, and in for the vacationing Jason Barr is our own Erin Patterson. Welcome to the show, Erin. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it should be fun. We're talking a lot of baseball today, college baseball with the Arizona Wildcats, and we've got a very special guest for the Huddle in this rendition of it. And there's Justin Spears of the Arizona Daily Star and Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson, and he joins us now, and he's as a big of a follower of college baseball and the Arizona Wildcats as anybody, and we thank him for the time today. And how's it going today, Justin?
It's doing great. I mean, you talk about me following college baseball. The only thing outside of the College World Series that I'm following is who's going to win this Jello Shot Challenge at Rocco's in Omaha. It's this bar that has this Jello Shot Challenge every single year. And usually the SEC schools are the ones that go out on top.
Right.
Erin being a University of Alabama alumna, she definitely knows about that. But LSU, they're favored to win the Jello Shot Challenge. In Arizona, they have the fourth best odds according to Bet Missouri. So Arizona fans, if you're listening, listen to that challenge. Go out there and get some Jello shots.
If you're there in Omaha, go get it. Go after it. Exactly right. Justin, we got a poll question as we do every week. We'll get your thoughts as well. The poll question, anybody can go on kgun9.com or go on our X page, and you'll see this poll. How far will Arizona go in the College World Series? A, win it all. B, they'll make the finals. Or C, eliminated early. Your thoughts about this poll question, Justin?
Well, I feel like a lot of answers, considering where we're at in the country, is I think A will be the most popular answer, or C, I don't know. But I don't know. This is really tough to gauge because there are so many great teams that are still alive in the College World Series. I mean, look at the Pac-12 foes in UCLA, who's there for the first time since 2013. Oregon State, they're a traditional college baseball power. And then you have LSU as well, who's on the other side of the bracket and could face Arizona in that national championship. And hey, don't sleep on Coastal Carolina, man, because the Chanticleers, they won 30 games in conference play. They have the second lowest ERA in college baseball right now. And oh, by the way, they're going into this game against Arizona on a 23-game winning streak. So this team is as hot as it gets. They are red hot right now. And I don't think Arizona's going to overlook their opponent. And it should be a lot of fun. But you know what? I will say this, Pat and Erin, that I think this baseball team, they have the it factor. Yeah. And not just the it factor, but to quote my colleague Michael Lev, they also have the grit factor too. They were down big. I mean, they lost 18-2 in that first game against North Carolina in that super regional. And for them to come back, not just in game 2, but how they did it in game 3, it shows a lot about the fight that this team has and their leaders as well, right? Mason White had that error in game 2, and it looked like he was about to, call it a day and shut down. But then he was the big hero in the 8th inning for the Arizona Wildcats. So don't ever count out this team. Even after getting smoked by 16 runs, they still figured out a way to win the super regional. I mean, they were outscored 29-16 in that super regional, and they won the whole damn thing.
Right.
So this team, they have the it factor. They have the camaraderie. They have all the pieces. I love their closer, Tony Pluta, who's as good as it gets in college baseball. So I'm high on these Arizona Wildcats.
Erin, I'll get your thoughts real quick too. What are you picking for the poll question?
I kind of go back and forth. I mean, when you look at it from a Arizona fan standpoint, they're probably either going to pick A or C.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those two. You see it through basketball as well, but in covering the team and watching them, and we were talking about this before the huddle got started, is that baseball isn't exactly a sport of who is the better team. It's about who is the team that's hot right now. So I think Coastal Carolina is going to be a really interesting matchup because both teams are really, really hot. But I don't know. I think they have potential to make it to the finals, but I don't know if they'll get there. It really just depends on if guys like Mason White and Tony Pluta can keep doing what they're doing.
Let's get to a little bit of sound that we wanted to bring up. It was almost Nostradamus on the part of Chip Hale. We had him on the show, Justin, Jason and I did, on May 20th. And we were talking to him about what's driving this team. And And I mentioned Mason White, and here's what Chip Hale said about Mason White.
Just huge to have him here. He's been able to help out other guys in the team throughout his years. And, we're hoping he can have a huge postseason, to be frank with you, and lead us back to Omaha.
Yeah, and that was before they went to the Big 12 tournament. It was right before. In fact, he was in the hotel there in Arlington, and he was doing the huddle with us. And then they went out and they won the Big 12 tournament. They win the regionals, and then they win the super regionals. Let's hear from Mason White, who led the Wildcats back to Omaha.
Generation guy to go to Omaha. I'm the first one of my dad and my grandpa to get to go. And then I was at every game in 12 when they were in the regionals, supers. I watched every game in 16 when they went. So, I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's almost like a dream. Like, I just can't believe it.
These guys want to make history at Arizona. This is a program that's won 4 national championships, and we want to be in Omaha, and then we want to win it. So, yeah, it's been a huge theme for us. And there was a point in the season, I think everybody could, if we're honest, where it didn't look very good for us. But these kids sucked it up, and they're doing, like Mason did today, what you have to do to win.
And there you go, Justin. You've got a kid in Mason White who's a third-generation Wildcat baseball player who is a Sal Point standout who now is leading this team to Omaha. It's just a great story.
It totally is. And when Mason White was recruited out of Sal Point, he wasn't a highly touted recruit. As a matter of fact, Chip Hale, when he was hired at Arizona, I think less than a week on the job, like he was maybe on the job for 2 or 3 days. And he made a call to Danny Preble, who's the South Point Catholic coach. And he said, hey, do you have any prospects for me? I heard about this Mason White guy. Can I come check him out? And Chip and another U of A assistant coach, they went to South Point to watch Mason White work out. And 20 minutes into the workout, after watching him take maybe 10 at-bats, if that, Chip Hale knew, okay, I'm going to offer this kid, and he's going to come play for the Arizona Wildcats and become a third-generation U of A baseball player. And it's a great story because, like I said, wasn't highly touted, wasn't really recruited. Like, we've seen some players come through Tucson, Arizona, and leave because the University of Arizona didn't really give them love or any sort of consideration. The one classic example of that is Nick Gonzalez, who ended up becoming a first-round pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He went to New Mexico State, killed it there, ends up becoming a Major League Baseball player, and that was a big miss on Arizona baseball's part. And I think Chip values getting the talent in his own backyard and in the state of Arizona because, let's face it, baseball is year-round in Arizona. It's a sport that is very popular. A lot of great baseball players come out of the state, and Chip recognized that and saw something in Mason White. And now here we are a few years later. He had to develop a little bit. When Mason White first got to the U of A and was starting to become a mainstay in that lineup, he kind of had like a Joey Gallo effect. Like, it was either striking out or he's hitting home runs. And they had to find the plate discipline to find that happy medium. And now here we are. He's one of Arizona's top hitters and not too far behind from Shelly Duncan as far as career home runs leader by an Arizona Wildcat. And what's so great about that is, like, you look at Shelly Duncan, he was well over 6 foot. Like, he was the prototypical baseball player. When you look at Mason White, yeah, like 5'9", 5'10", but like not really physically imposing, kind of has like a Corbin Carroll effect where it's like, man, he's kind of a little guy, but man, he's got insane power. And to see him really get emotional because he knew what he accomplished, becoming the first member of his family to lead Arizona to the College World Series, it's something special. And he's a really great story and definitely a guy that's going to go down as an all-time great at the U of A.
Yeah. Erin?
And Justin, I'm a little curious as to what you think about this. Obviously, baseball, basketball, they're very different sports, but you kind of see some similarities between, well, everyone says, oh, if Caleb Love's having a bad game, well, then Arizona's going to lose. And you saw that throughout the basketball season. And now you're kind of seeing the same thing where it's like, oh, Mason White, like, he's the guy that's got to get it done. I'm curious to what you think. Let's say Mason White has kind of an off night. Who do you think that not backup player, but who that player is that could step in and really take over?
Well, Summerhill, of course, I mean, he's the first round draft pick. Easton Breyfogle, I know he's banged up right now. I'm not really sure what his status is for Omaha. I mean, I know he had a very scary collision out there in Chapel Hill. So we'll see what he's got going on. But, I look at those two guys. I also look at the senior leaders of this team as well. The guy that got it started for Arizona in Game 3 in Garen Caulfield. Those guys have been awesome for Arizona this season. And, they have just a great group of guys. And then, kind of going along the lines of the Tucson realm is, Andrew Kane as well from Ironwood Ridge is a great player. And, if you look more into this Arizona baseball roster, there are so many Southern Arizona or, Arizona connections, like Owen Kremkowski, the ace pitcher. Yeah, I know he got killed in Game 1 and, gave up a ton of runs, but I think over the course of the season, he's been great and has emerged as a pretty solid ace pitcher for Arizona. And he's from Sahuarita, went to Walden Grove High School. Raul Grearzar, I think he played at Rio Rico, if I'm not mistaken. So he's a guy that's from Santa Cruz County. There's a lot of great connections here. But as far as like the guy that's going to get it going at the plate outside of Mason White, I think those two guys that I mentioned at the start, definitely.
Yeah, and we've been talking about there's so many different storylines. You've got the Coastal Carolina, rematch from 2016 when Arizona went up 1-0 in the championship and lost the next 2 to Coastal Carolina. So you kind of get a rematch there. Another, and I love history, Justin. So I look at, that run of Jerry Kindle, 3 championships in the 70s and 80s. You've got the Andy Lopez championship in 2012. But now you've got Chip Hale, who was part of that 86 team for Jerry Kindle. And just the symmetry, how cool that would be if at some point, if not this year, in the next few years, maybe Arizona wins a championship with Chip Hale as manager. I think it just feels right. There's just a great storyline there.
Absolutely. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, if Arizona were to win a baseball championship under Chip Hale, I think Chip might be Laura Ianello. She did it with the women's golf team back in 2018. But like, as far as alumni and people who are coming back to coach the University of Arizona, not many people can say that they won a national championship as a player and also won it as a coach at the same time. Laura Ianello is obviously in that category, and Chip Hale can be the next guy to do it. And the thing that's so cool about Chip Hale is I feel like he has kind of silenced all the doubters in this one season, right? When Arizona goes into the postseason this year, they're like, okay, it's great, but you also lost to GCU last year. You've fallen in the NCAA regionals. You haven't gotten to Omaha just yet. The postseason success has not really been there. What are you going to do, Chip Hale? And then look at what Chip Hale has done. I mean, he took Arizona to the Pac-12 championship last year. They won the Big 12 baseball tournament this year. They go into the regional. They win that. They come back and they win the super regional against a really tough North Carolina team. And now he's taken Arizona to the College World Series. When Chip first took on this job, people questioned him, including myself. I'll be the first one, because Chip was a professional baseball coach. He only managed at the Major League Baseball level, and he also managed the Tucson Sidewinders too. He was dealing with pro baseball for a long time. How is this guy at this point in his life going to adjust to the college game? And he put together a great staff around him. He got Kevin Vance, who's a great pitching coach. And with NIL, with recruiting, I think Chip has done a really nice job evolving as a coach. And he's also just allowed these players to have fun, right? With the playoff bananas, with the toy cars that they give away to each player that is the MVP of the game. He allows these guys to have fun, because at the end of the day, this is a child's game. It's a game that you're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. And you could definitely tell that this group this year, they're really enjoying playing baseball. And then another cool thing that's very special about Chip in his time at Arizona is, hey, we've seen some good coaches come to the U of A, but then we've also seen some turmoil in the offseason. You have players entering the transfer portal, leaving the program, and there's so much roster turnover. under Chip Hale, there really hasn't been much roster turnover. These guys love playing for this guy. And then in the era of NIL and chasing the bag and all that, these players understand there's something to be said about development and turning into a great player. And the group of guys that he has right now, it exemplifies that.
Yeah, and real quick, I'll interject before Erin asks the next question, and that is, I think Chip came along at the right time, though, because you can, coach like you manage Major League Baseball because of the NIL and because of the transfer portal, maybe a little bit more, kind of like free agency and all the money in the Major League. So maybe it all kind of came together at the right time.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. And Chip, kind of not really like Jed Fish, but Chip has that experience where he's like, hey, I have seen this at the highest level.
Right.
I can
get you there. Yeah.
I can get you there. And
Yeah.
you're seeing that with Mason White. You're seeing that with Summerhill, Brayfogle, all those guys.
Yeah. And I love that you're saying that all about Chip Hale, because it really is true. I mean, he even said it when we played that soundbite for you earlier. Like, there was a point in the season where it wasn't looking too good for them, but they still managed to claw their way out of it. I mean, I'll use a little Bama lingo. Lank is what they say. Let all naysayers know. And that's exactly what Chip Hale has done. Okay. They've proven a lot of people wrong, but headed into this College World Series, I mean, if you were Chip Hale from a standpoint, it's like, how do you keep your guys in that mindset?
Man, that's really hard because they haven't been here yet. But the cool thing about this group is they've done it all on the road this year. So like when you look at the start of the year, they got slaughtered in Dallas. I mean, that opening event at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, you could forget about that. But they learn from their mistakes, and then they go back to Texas in Houston, and they have a great series over there. Playing against some of the best baseball teams in all of America. And then towards the end of the regular season, things kind of started to fall off a little bit. They lost that series, which is the final home series of the season against Utah. Utah was not good this year. They had no business losing that series. And then they go on the road and they drop that first game to Houston. And then they bounce back. They win that series. They look great. And then they go into the postseason and they're like, okay, let's, win the Big 12. Maybe we'll host. They win the Big 12. They become the first Big 12 champion to not host a regional since 1999, which is freaking ridiculous. But it is what it is, right? Arizona goes up to Eugene. They play in that regional. They outscored their opponents 31-6. And when you couple that with the Big 12 tournament, it was like 49-9. They were outscoring opponents. So the bats were hot. Pitching was great. And the common denominator is that they were all on the road. So I think if you're Chip Hale, you have to calm down your team, let them know that, hey, this is the biggest stage in college baseball. But, you guys have been playing at the biggest stages every step of the way. You played at the biggest stage in our conference. You played against a great North Carolina team in the Super Regional. So, yeah, even though you may not have as many fans as you'd like, I think the fact that they've been so together and such a tight-knit group on the road, I think that bodes well for Arizona.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, well, we got you here, Justin. I keep saying Jason because I'm so used to being on the show with Jason when I see the Huddle logo. Sorry about that, Justin. Justin, you and I talk a lot, but I haven't got your take on the NCAA versus House settlement and what this is really going to mean. For those who don't know, $20.5 million is really the cap now. The universities each will be able to hand out that $25.5 million, and you'll divvy it up between the sports. Football will get the most, men's basketball will get the next most. What are your thoughts about this now that it's going to be implemented starting on July 1st?
We already knew that it was going to happen. It's been talked about now for the last year, and now schools are going to directly pay their players. They can pay up to $20.5 million. It doesn't mean that every school is going to pay $20.5, but I would imagine that the Power 4 schools, everyone, they're going to milk every last dollar of that $20.5 million, and then it's going to continue to increase over the next decade. How is this going to affect recruiting? How are the schools going to divvy up this money? We're going to find out real soon what Arizona prioritizes. Right. And, other schools are going to prioritize football. Everyone has a $20.5 million pie, but that percentage and where it goes, that is all on the school. And so if you're Arizona, how much of that is going towards football? How much of that is going towards basketball? And then going back to the recruiting element of this, I really feel like you're going to see this with, some of the best schools, right? In the world of the haves and the have-nots in college football. Arizona is definitely more towards the have-nots, right? So I'm assuming a lot of that revenue share money will be going towards some of their top talent and their players. Let's say, okay, Erin, Alabama. We all know that Alabama is a really good football program, and they have boosters and people that are pumping in money from all over the place. If you're an Alabama coach, can you go to a player and tell him, hey, I know the revenue share money, it's not as much as you'd like it to be, but hey, I got donor X over here, and if you promote his brand and everything that he's doing, he's going to give you $500,000 worth of NIL money. And you're like, okay, so I'm getting $500,000 NIL money. I'm not getting as much as I'd like for revenue share, but altogether, I'm still getting my money no matter what. Yeah, let me go to Alabama. So there's always going to be loopholes. There's always going to be back channels, people figuring out ways to help their program stand above the rest. So how is NIL going to be affected by revenue share? And by we, I mean my colleague Michael Lev. He had a chance to talk to Desiree Reed-Francois in Omaha, or not Omaha, but Chapel Hill about this. And she didn't really give the numbers of the pie and how that's going to be divided up. Will that be disclosed to the public? I'm not so sure. And I'm curious to know how the information is going to be processed, or if it's going to be released, because, in professional sports, pro athletes, we know exactly how much money they're making. Can we ask, let's say, Noah Fafita at Arizona, hey, how much is the U of A football program giving you for revenue share? So we're in a weird time right now in collegiate athletics, but I'm very happy right now that the players are able to profit not only off their name, image, likeness, but their talent, and they're going to get paid by the schools. Unfortunately, you may not have the cool walk-on stories anymore. Walk-ons are probably going to be more limited now that you have a roster limit. But yeah, in July, and man, it's going to get cranking. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that was you touched on it a little bit, but that was my biggest, issue with NIL when it was originally coming into place is this going to turn into a thing where whichever school has the most money is the school that the guys are going to go play at, or the players are going to go play at, I should say. And I mean, that's with the schools paying the players directly now. I think that becomes even a bigger factor. And obviously, like you said, it's great that these kids are able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. But at the same time, it's not about what's going to be the best fit for you. It's about which school is going to pay you the most money. On the flip side of it, Pat, you mentioned, obviously, football is going to get the most, men's basketball is going to get the second most, all of that stuff. I look at it from a standpoint, I'm a huge college softball fan. College softball fan. And so you see that, and it's kind of one of those, like the Texas final World Series game, that was the most watched NCAA softball game in history. 2.4 million viewers were watching that game. And chances are those girls aren't going to be making as much money as they should.
Right.
Yeah. No, and like Nigeri Kennedy from Texas Tech, she's making $1 million to transfer from Stanford or Cal, whatever Bay Area school she came from. And now she's making $1 million to play at Texas Tech. And, you look at Arizona's situation, they had a couple players enter the transfer portal, like Dakota Kennedy, Kaya Altmaier. How much of their decisions are based on financial and getting that money? Because Arizona softball, they have great tradition, right? They win championships. They win a lot of games every single year. But what does the NIL, what does the funding look like in Arizona softball outside of just winning games? We'll see.
I can only go by what Chip Hale told us a couple of weeks ago when we had him on the Huddle, and he said that he's really happy with the amount of money that NIL has for baseball, because they have such great boosters with baseball. And I'm assuming he means a lot of former major leaguers that have a little bit of money and may be contributing. So maybe that's the route you have to go. You have to hope that not only are your future players go on to play professionally, but make a lot of money so they can return some of it back to the program. Maybe it's a never-ending cycle that we're going to have to see.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yep.
Let's get to the poll question real quick. Again, let's see how we're doing with the poll question so far and what people are saying. And 60.6. I think you said it, Justin, that you thought maybe Win It All from the homers of the Wildcat Nation would be there, and they certainly were. I by the way, I picked they'll make the finals. I'm optimistic they can win a few games. I'm just not sure they can win it all.
Oh man, do you have them losing to Jay Johnson and the LSU Tigers?
I know. Wouldn't that be something? We talked about before coming on the air. Is that your hope that we get a little matchup with LSU?
Pat, I am a former diehard WWE fan. I say former. I don't watch WWE anymore, but I used to love the WWE, and I love the script writing.
Yep.
And I look at the script right now.
That's right.
You got Coastal Carolina, the rematch of the 2016 championship, and then you could potentially face Jay Johnson and Cobra Kai in the national championship. Like, that's as special as it gets. And if Arizona ends up winning the whole damn thing, and you could beat Coastal and also LSU in the process, that just makes it sweeter.
Yeah, and maybe Oregon State. Don't forget, even to get to that point where they face LSU, they'll likely have to play Oregon State as well, the old Pac-12 rival. So.
The team that they played in the end of the regular season, right, at High Corbett Field, that walk-off hit to win the Pac-12 regular season title.
That's right. That's right.
Storylines,
so
man.
There's a lot of storylines. Always great. Always great. Justin, it's always great to have you on the show. It's been a little while since we had you. We can't make it this long next time. We appreciate you stopping by.
Anytime you guys need me, I'm here. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Take care. Justin of the Arizona Daily Star, and of course, Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson. Always fun to talk to Justin Spears and get his thoughts. So your prediction, we heard Justin say LSU, Arizona matchup between Chip Hale and Jay Johnson. That would be something.
I mean, it would be really cool if that does end up being the case. I love watching LSU lose, so I'm totally cool with it. I love watching it. But yeah, I actually picked in the poll that I think that they're going to be booted early. I don't think it's going to be like,
two and done
twice and done.
Yeah.
I think they'll make it a little bit, but I don't know if they beat Oregon State, if it comes to that. I don't know if they beat them. I think they beat Coastal Carolina. If they have to see Louisville, I think they beat Louisville, but I don't know if they can get past Oregon State.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think what you have to remember is there are steps to this process, right? And it's all about the process. And for Chip Hale, it's only for his fourth year. By year 4, you would hope they'd make it to Omaha. Well, they have. To win a national championship might be a tall order. This team is very good. They are gritty. They are tough. They have. Remember, Chip Hale said Friday night after they got beat 18-2, he said, "Flush it." And that's what they did. They have the ability to flush away all the negativity of one game or one mistake. But it's a tall order. Getting to Omaha is one thing. Winning a national championship, 3 games against another team is just as good as you is very difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, out of all the Arizona teams that I've covered while being here, I do think baseball has the best shot. For sure, from what I've seen from them over this past season and even last season. I mean, they definitely have a really good shot, and it's been really exciting to watch them do this.
All right. Well, perfect. We'll leave it right there. Erin, thanks for joining me on the Huddle while Jason's off and enjoying a little vacation, well-deserved on his part. And again, thank you to Justin Spears, and thank you for watching the Huddle, KGUN 9 streaming sports talk show. And we will see you perhaps next week, but more likely in a couple of weeks. So thanks so much for joining us.